All right, so the recording has started. So good evening, sorors. Welcome to the Sister to Sister Career Networking Committee. I'm one of the co-chairs, Sora Adele Mayfield, and Sora Bawana Smith is the other co-chair. So for this evening, of course, we talked about in the past meetings that we want to have you all share your wonderful talents with us as well and dive into the other topics, that we came up with that we wanted to talk about. So I'm going to turn it over to Sora Sherry Ross and Sora Brianka German, and they are going to do a LinkedIn presentation and workshop. So I will go ahead and turn it over to them.
Thank you, Sora Adele, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right, so everyone can see my screen, right? Perfect. All right, so Sora, Sherry, and I are here today to talk about LinkedIn. So this is a Sora's Guide to LinkedIn, which is today's leading networking tool. So first thought we should introduce ourselves and why we wanted to raise our hands to give this workshop on LinkedIn. So, I want to start just by saying, my profession, I'm actually an account manager for a market research firm called the MPD Group. And I work with major companies to kind of help them build up their brands, help their brands grow. And so right now my client is in the tech space, HP Incorporated. So I'm on LinkedIn probably numerous times a day because, I'm looking for leads and connections to really help me with that account management. A lot of times our accountants don't like to be forthcoming in what their strategies are, what the organizational structure is, and who the decision makers are. So I go to LinkedIn to try to get some of my answers. But also, in addition to that, I use LinkedIn to remain visible within my organization, among my colleagues in corporate leadership, as well as potential future colleagues, hiring managers.
Agreeing, Sherry.
Oh, hello? Oh, sorry. So in potential and future colleagues and hiring managers and recruiters. So Sherry, I'll let you introduce yourself and tell us why you use LinkedIn and how you use it today.
Okay, I'm Sora Sherry Ross. Currently, I'm an attorney advisor for the Federal Communications Commission. I work on the Telecommunications Access and Policy Division. The program I'm working on now is the Affordable Connectivity Program, where we're subsidizing internet for $30 a month for low-income families. So I work a lot with like the big internet service providers like AT&T, Verizon, but I'm always on LinkedIn. I've joined a lot of groups on LinkedIn, made a lot of connections. LinkedIn has been the reason I've gotten like all my jobs basically. And that's why I chose that quote that you see at the bottom. It's like LinkedIn is the best way to say, look at me without saying like exactly look at me. You can be on like this network avenue and, get exposure without, trying too hard. So our agenda today, we already introduced ourselves and talk about what LinkedIn means to us. Next, we're going to go into why LinkedIn, what is LinkedIn and why it matters. We're going to talk a little bit about the benefits of LinkedIn, show you how to get started, give you some tips on things you should and shouldn't do. And also, we have a little chance for some of you to ask questions.
So first, we want to start by answering the question, what is LinkedIn and why does it matter? So LinkedIn is a social network, just like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. But unlike those social networks, LinkedIn is a professional networking site. So it's designed to help people make business connections, share their experiences, resumes, and find jobs. And actually, most recently, provide professional development through learning modules and trainings. It's just a way that you can connect with and follow your friends, your colleagues, companies, groups, and people who inspire you professionally. I even included Roz Brewer here, who not only is our soror, but she is the Black female CEO of Walgreens. So I actually look up to her and I admire her deeply. So I just wanted to show that I follow her on LinkedIn to just kind of see how she leads and really love the things that she posts.
So some of the benefits of LinkedIn is, number one, it's important people use LinkedIn. Recruiters, hiring managers, they often look for candidates. And if you don't think it's true, once you set up your LinkedIn page, it will alert you that someone viewed your profile. Currently, I have like 5 recruiters in my inbox looking for a telecom attorney to go to different companies and law firms right now. I'm actually entertaining all of them, but many recruiters use this website, and also many companies use LinkedIn to kind of double check to make sure that you are who you are. It's also another way to see about job postings. Once you have a LinkedIn account, you can search different key search terms, like, for example, attorney or general counsel or marketing advisor or HR representatives, and you can search for new jobs. You can also filter it out to see when the jobs were posted, if they were posted within the past week, the past month. You can also potentially see if that company has a LinkedIn page and do research more on the company. LinkedIn also may be a part of the application process. Now, when you're applying for jobs, many people will ask you to put your LinkedIn link so that they could come view your profile when you're submitting your application. I have actually added my LinkedIn link to the top of my resume so that employers can visit my LinkedIn when they are looking at me for a potential job.
Yeah, so in addition to those, LinkedIn really is your modern day Rolodex. So instead of having to collect business cards that you may get from someone when you maybe go to a conference or something, it's a way that you can kind of capture these connections that you're making digitally, which could ultimately help your career one day. And, in that, this could be, the person that you met could be that person that could just give you that dream job. So it really is really important after you meet someone, send them a connection request, which we'll talk about, the right and wrong ways to do that a little bit later. And then also, it's a great way to research companies. So Sora Sherry just mentioned this briefly a second ago, but when we're applying for jobs and prepping for interviews, step one is to research the company, see if it's a company you want to work with, look at their culture and the people that work there. And LinkedIn is a great way to do that because you can see who is attached to the company, and you can actually reach out to people working there to get a better idea of the job that you're applying for. And then lastly, it's a way that you can help build your brand. And so when I say build your brand here, I am talking about more so your personal brand, but I don't want to ignore some of our entrepreneurs out there, because LinkedIn is also a way that you can build your business brand as well. Because if you have a business, you can have a LinkedIn page, especially if you work with other businesses. So kind of in that B2B space, maybe a consultant to businesses or something like that. You want to have a LinkedIn page and build your presence up there. But then if we're talking about your personal brand management as well, we live in this digital age. So we're talking to teens and college students all the time about, make sure that what you're putting on social media reflects who you truly are, and be responsible with your Instagrams and your Facebooks. And that's the same thing with LinkedIn. It's really a part of that, that digital portfolio that helps to build your overall brand.
So getting started, your LinkedIn page is like a surcharge resume that lets you showcase your experience and expertise. So first, you actually want to set up a profile. So on this profile page, this is everything that recruiters, that individuals, they want to know about you. This is a chance to show who you are. It's like the elevator pitch of the internet, kind of. You want to upload a professional photo. So, make sure we don't have no photos hanging peace signs up. It's not our Facebook photo. It's a professional photo. Many people create a professional headline. That can be some way that, will help you stand out from others. You also want to create a summary about yourself or your experience. Build your experience out section using multimedia links and strong voice, and highlight skills and other honors that you have. You also can upload, if you've written articles, if you've done videos about yourself. I was showcased on the news when I graduated from college. So I uploaded that onto my LinkedIn profile so people can learn about the journey that I went to get to law school, because that's something about me. You also want to build your network. You want to go slow. You don't want to just have a whole bunch of followers. You want to actually follow people that have meaning. So you might want to send personalized invites. You can connect with people you know and trust. And also, you also want to try to connect people that are in maybe a area or field that you're interested in getting in, and kind of see how on their LinkedIn page, it generally will show you your journey of the different jobs they had in schools. See how their journey was and how similar it is to yours, or things you can take away from that and connect with them in that way. And some professional leave and family and friends that are trusted connections. I mean, you can add family members. I do add family members, but for me, and I don't know about Sora, Brianka, but I'm on here. My LinkedIn is like my business, and it's like the way to promote me. So I will add family members, but I'm here to promote myself and to let the world know about Sherry in a professional manner.
Yeah, and to add to that, that's why we say that are trusted connections for that reason. And a lot of times if I'm doing something that maybe brag on myself through LinkedIn, I'll put it on Facebook just so that my family can know what's going on professionally with me as well, so that it's not a bunch of my family. Because to Sora Sherry's point, you want to make sure that your connections make sense to where you want to go professionally and what your goals are. And also you want to become social. So Sora Sherry had talked about how she shared the video when she was on the news, and you definitely want to do that. You want to post your content after you set your page up, you build your network, post that content for your network to see. Share articles and news stories that you find interest in, and they speak to specific topics that you like to focus on. And when we actually get into LinkedIn, we'll show you how you can kind of brand yourself to speak to specific topics. But then also, it's even better when you share your own content. So like blog posts or videos. So once again, they can get to know who you are and how you would show up professionally if they were to hire you. Just like Facebook has groups, LinkedIn has groups. So you're able to follow groups of interest. And I even included the link here to our sorority group. So I'm gonna open that so that we can just take a break from this deck for a second. And I'll show y'all that. Did y'all see it come up on the screen when I moved it? Okay, perfect. Apparently my internet's a little slow. But yeah, so our sorority has a LinkedIn page, and you can follow it. You can see other people that are following it. There's also some of the regions have specific pages as well. I haven't found the Mid-Atlantic page, or Sherry, I don't know if you have or not, but I haven't found it, so there may not be one. But the corporate organization has their page up here for us to join and follow. And then lastly, you want to explore news updates and events. So some people say they get their news from Instagram and Facebook and stuff. I get my news from LinkedIn because I'm following groups and people who are aligned with me professionally. So then the news and updates they're sharing are things that I can share with my clients to say, hey, Dell just launched this thing, what are you thinking about that? Something like that. And that's kind of how you can do that. So if you engage, at work with people to kind of help what you're doing, that's kind of a way that you can get that content and material to be able to further those engagements.
So LinkedIn do's and don'ts. There is proper etiquette that we recommend with LinkedIn. You want to have a purpose for being on LinkedIn. It's really not a social avenue. It's social media, but it's not like, that type of social media. It's more for business and networking. You want to connect with the right people. Now, if you go to my page or Brianka's page, we have like 500 plus connections, but that's only because, we are super active on LinkedIn. But also less is more. You want to make sure that you are connecting with people that can help advance you or have similar interests or that, post different news interests that you might like. Communicate with a reference and relevance. You want to always make sure that you have meaningful communications with others on LinkedIn. I try to shy away from personal things on LinkedIn. It's okay to say happy birthday. Some people post births, stuff like that. But other kind of like social stuff, I kind of stay away from. Some people get real political on LinkedIn. I shy away from political things on LinkedIn because, again, if I'm applying for a job, employers can see that and I don't know who's looking at me to be hired. You want to be professional. This is definitely not Facebook. So stay away from posting anything that's, Facebook like. If you want to post something, go to Facebook or go to Instagram, but also be mindful of those pages, especially if you're public. Employers do look at those. Don't
also,
troll.
I want to add into this one too, Zora Sherry, is that, that with reference and relevance. So sometimes if your personal story is a part of your journey or a touching story to how to lead effectively or something like that, because we see a lot of those on LinkedIn. I've actually heard people say recently, and I guess just even on the LinkedIn community, they're just starting to like it better than Facebook because it's a lot more positive. So, you may talk about the baby that you just had, but it could be about, giving your company kudos for the maternity leaves that they have in place and how your team may have, really stepped in while you were gone. So that would be a way that you could bring in kind of a little bit of yourself and then also be professional with it. But, with the political things, absolutely right. You're not out here bashing, certain presidents and things like that. But if it's a part of your brand to support, and I don't say that DEI is political because that's like more of a human thing. So, if it's a part of your brand, maybe to talk about DEI initiatives, diversity, equity, inclusion, you may post things about how Blacks are mistreated at work or things like that. But just make sure that if you're doing that, it's to benefit your brand and what your overall goal is. And I can show you some examples of that too, because I am one of those people. So I'm gonna turn it back over to you, Zora Sherry, to finish this out.
I'll also say don't troll. I remember out of law school, I didn't like the job that I was working. So I started to try to connect with people that I thought were working in areas that I wanted to work in. A lot of times I would send a request or I would send a message and I got no response. And I could tell they looked at it. But it's okay, just don't badger them. Just, they saw it. It'll let you know if they saw the message and move on. You shot your, as we say, you shot your shot and it failed, just move to the next person. Ask, but also give, like don't misuse. So another thing is LinkedIn is a place of connections. You want to make sure that you are not misusing any of the connections that you make. Sometimes we can abuse our connections. Like, a person looked out for me. I'm be like, well, they might can look out for, Brianka. It's like, but, they don't know Brianka, they have a personal connection with you. So you want to be mindful and be very respectful of people that you connect with on LinkedIn. And also stay current and update your profile. You want to make sure that your most current job is there. You don't want it to be 2022 and it's talking about stuff that you did back in 2013. You want to make sure everything is relevant. So when employers do come look at your page, they can see what you're doing now. And also, as years go on, we elevate in our careers, we learn new talents, we get new certifications, we join new organizations. That all should be a part of your LinkedIn. Believe it or not, we both have that we're members of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated on the bottom of our pages. That is super important because, as you know, we look out for one another. And I cannot tell you how many times people have looked at my inbox and like, oh, I didn't know that you were a soror. Oh, we have this job opening. Are you interested? Like, and that's just off the strength of us being a part of this organization. So make sure you update your current profile and stay relevant and stay recent because you never know what's knocking around the corner.
Mm-hmm. And also to that, even with the ask, but also give part, you want to make sure, like, for example, how Sorosha was talking about, I'm going to look out for Brianka too. You can make a connect, like you can make an introduction to someone. So if it's like, if you feel like you've built a relationship with someone, they may either reach out to you and say, hey, I see that you're connected to so-and-so. Could you make an introduction? Sure. But then you also want to make sure that you're kind of giving back where you can, or if you were that person to ask for the introduction, that you're ready to do that for someone else as well. So it's like, we just want to make sure that we're keeping kind of a good ecosystem here on LinkedIn. And that update profile is real, especially right now when I think about like my account management. For some reason, my account has done a lot of changes this month. And I've been told that, so-and-so has this role, but I'm like, oh, but I thought so-and-so had it. So I have been tracking that person like day to day to see when they change their profile, to see what's their new role, if they're still there or not. So, that update is very important. So we wanted to take some time to actually show you our pages and, kind of how they look. And I'll actually start with Soror Sherry's because you'll be able to see what I see from my logged in page versus, kind of like what anyone would see going on to her page. Oops.
All right, so here's my page. I mean, LinkedIn is not like it's not like you can add a lot, but it's professional. One thing about LinkedIn, it does show your activity. So if you like something, like if Bree posted she got a new job and I like it, it's going to show what I liked. And so be mindful of what you like and what you comment on. My favorite thing to do is when people get new jobs, especially people in the same industry as me, I love to comment on their announcement like, oh, congratulations, such and such, X company is, lucky to have you. And then from that point on, I can see who else is commenting on their page. And I'll be like, oh, wow. Oh, they know this person? Wow. Let me connect, So that is something that I do. And I also like to post like stuff about internships and things or like comments and stuff like that, because I know coming from Central Law School, a lot of opportunities were were not afforded to us. And like, I'm lucky to be in this tech space, but because of LinkedIn, I've connected with a lot of people. So I like to post a lot of, opportunities that we may have at the commission and other agencies in my field.
Mm-hmm. And even when, like, for example, if Sora Sherry was to comment on something, LinkedIn may show me that. So sometimes I question why I'm seeing certain things. And it's because if your connections are interacting with people, you'll find that, it's showing you those people. And I end up liking things and commenting and congratulating people I've never met or had any experience with. And because I follow Alpha Kappa Alpha, I'm able to see when other people who may also either follow it or have it on their page post something incredible, and then I'm under there, congrats, pink and green hearts, so, and they do the same thing, and it's kind of like the I see you type thing as well.
So those are my jobs. This is like what Bree would see if she came to my page. Like, she could see like my jobs. You can see the schools I attended. You could put honors down there. Organizations, certifications. You can see where I'm barred. People can endorse you. That's another thing. You want people to endorse you for like skills and things that you worked, especially people like your supervisors. That would be awesome for them to endorse you for, different. Of course, they endorse me for public speaking because I like to talk. But
you see here where she put Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated under organizations. And then also, you can kind of include some of the things that you're interested in as well. And so if we were to go to my page, which will be what you would see if you were actually on LinkedIn yourself, because it gives you kind of the editing feature and everything. So similar to Facebook, you are able to, kind of have the banner up here. When I was in college, I studied abroad in Peru. So I like to have that up here. It's, some people have asked me about it, maybe in conversation after they've been on my LinkedIn. Oh, why do you have Machu Picchu? So it's a good, talking point to have as well. And then, I actually include here what I talk about. So because I'm in market research, I talk about data analytics, business strategy, consumer insights. I'm big on personal and professional development and leadership. So I do talk about effective leadership, but also diversity, equity, and inclusion, because I'm doing a few initiatives at my company around that. So I'm able to kind of pull into what I'm doing within my company and how that can kind of just help for a better business system overall. So also private to you. So this is what I see. So it can show me like who's viewing my profile, your impressions and your search appearances. So you get the analytics that you would need to see, how is your page performing? I do have creator mode on. LinkedIn adds something new every day. Mm-hmm. I turn that on. I'm not even really sure what that is yet, but I'm a creator now on LinkedIn. So definitely you want to stay engaged. I wrote an article on LinkedIn. So this actually was an article that I wrote right after the murder of George Floyd. And I talked about my experience at work and how it felt to work at a company where I was, and on a team where I was the only Black person on the team. Mm-hmm. I had to give a presentation that day. And I just, kind of poured all that into LinkedIn. And I can't tell you how many like emails and chats and messages and stuff that I got because of this article. So much so that my CEO and head of HR reached out to make sure that I was okay, but then also to talk about what we can do as a company to kind of help our Black employees feel safe and just what we can do around our DEI initiatives overall. So that was this is one of the things that actually spearheaded me into that role that I do now, which is some of the DEI work for my organization as well. So in the activity, as I mentioned, I post articles about what Black people experience at work. So when I post, I also talk about why I posted it, what made me do it, and how it connects to either a business environment or, you know, professional environment, or just to me personally. And even you may work for a company that is active on LinkedIn as well, and they want you to post their content and material. And because we're a data company, we're consistently posting insights for our clients to see. So one of those we did was, and part of our DEI initiatives was to really talk about the power of the Black consumer. And so we did this for Black founded hair brand, and this little data stat, but then also like why. So you don't just share it like you would Facebook, maybe you want to talk about it, speak to it. And so I just talked about how much I appreciate my hairstylist, and made a joke about how I have multiple hairstylists and things like that. So really trying to bring your personality out so that people can see who you are and interact with your page. And so let's see, similar to Soror Sherry. Also about, so this is kind of that space you can really talk about. This is almost like that space where if you were to write a cover letter, what would you put in that cover letter? So how would you talk about what you do today, what your passions are, things like that? You can put that in your about section. And then, you know, your job experience, things like that, education. I also have licenses and certification. I also put volunteer work as well. So I try to do volunteer work where it kind of has some longevity to it. It kind of links to how I could serve professionally, things like that. So that's something I recommend. Skills and recommendations. So you can give and get recommendations. So let's say that you know, you have a colleague that may have been let go, because this has been happening a lot recently. So you may have a colleague that may have been let go, laid off, or something like that, but you know that they are a strong candidate for someone. So you could go on their page and write a recommendation that can be shown or seen when someone visits their LinkedIn. It can be really helpful and impactful. You can ask someone where you did a certification class to write your recommendation. This kind of just came as a gift for a certification that I did, which I appreciate.
And it's so funny. I'm looking at, I know Steve Gerst, like I work with him. So see, LinkedIn.
He's so great. But yeah, and we are in completely different industries, which is
right.
Weird. So
but he does blockchain, so that's techie. So yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, got you. So yeah, so that's actually what we wanted to show you here. And you know, I can definitely just show you guys show you ladies the like homepage that you can, you know, scroll. I scroll on LinkedIn just like you scroll on Facebook, just like you scroll on Instagram. I find myself just scrolling on LinkedIn, and I read these stories because they're touching.
It's always candidate stories, and some of these stories you can relate to.
Yeah.
So, and also, I just want to throw out there that Sora Brianca's page is going to look different from my page. My page is going to look different from yours. As you can see, she is in marketing, so hers has a lot going on. I'm more bland, but I still get a lot of hits because I'm super active on it. So, you know, you don't have to have a lot on there, but you do want to have like the key things on there so people can get to know you. And you can also upload your resume on LinkedIn too. I try to shy away from that sometimes because I like to change my resume to fit the job that I'm applying for. But if you want to put it on there, you definitely can.
Mm-hmm. So we'll open it up to any questions that you all may have, or anything you want us to show you. We're here.
So, Sherry and Brianca, sorry, my dog is always gonna bark as soon as I open the thing. I have a question that kind of comes up. People ask me, so when you put down, you know, of course you have the intro where you can put information about yourself, but then when you list each job, what do you suggest as far as how in detail you go about each job description or what you do? Because working in HR, I feel like, well, you do that, and then if you also upload your resume, does it feel like it's overkill if you're putting too much information about yourself and then also uploading your resume? So what are your thoughts on that?
That is actually a good question, because I just went through and updated mine. And I'm actually curious. I'm going to show you from the view. If you were to see my public profile, if I can remember how to do that. I actually made it so that you can only see, and I can kind of just show you here. Maybe in my most recent job, I may talk about my current activities, but the rest of them, I just have the job listed. And I often go through other people's LinkedIn's to see what they're doing. And when I say other people, remember that you want to, people that you strive to become or positions you strive to have, right? So I probably won't go to another account manager's page. I'm probably gonna go to a CEO's page or something like that, just because I want to see like what do executives post on their page. If I want to be an executive one day, how should I present myself? What should my page look like? And that's actually how my about section got so long, because I saw that that's what executives were doing. So that's just what I recommend. It could be different for your different industries, but that's my recommendation.
Yeah, I was somewhere, and most of the time the recruiter told me just to list the job and the current status of that job. I know in my field, we have short attention spans. So a lot of times they just want to verify you are who you are. So I don't really go into detail on mine. I just list everything that I do more so on my resume.
Oh yeah, so it actually looks like I just took off all of my stuff. So it just shows my actual job titles.
And y'all connect with us on LinkedIn too, because we might know some people in your industry, even though we're all in different areas. But definitely connect with us on LinkedIn.
Yes.
I have a question. It's Sora, Letitia. Is there a way, like if you've been featured in articles, so of course I'm in the performing arts, dance education industry and field, but I've been featured in a number of articles locally in Greensboro with Essence Magazine. And so are there places where you can actually upload links to like articles you've already been, like I see where you can write one, but are you able to upload links to share that kind of information on your profile?
Yeah. Sora Sherry, did you do something where it stays like in a certain area, or was it a post that you did when you did yours?
No, it's I actually need to go to edit mode, but it is a way to upload articles and things that you've been featured in, videos, news articles. It allows you to put that, but it puts it more so at the top, like under the description about yourself, and maybe even under your profile.
Okay.
It does allow you to upload those things.
Yeah, it does. And then also, it can also be a post. Sometimes I think that LinkedIn actually organizes your posts, or you can keep it featured. So technically my article is a post too. So you can use the article function to do that as well. But it's definitely something I'd be happy to walk through with you, Sora, Letitia.
I want to say also, if anyone wants to connect on LinkedIn, if you can put the link in the chat, if you want to connect with different Soras in the group, we can do that.
Oh, yeah.
Any questions, comments for Sora, Sherry, and Brianka? This is a great presentation, ladies. So thank you for all the effort that you put into it for us.
It has been fantastic. And those Soras that wanted you all to record it, they're going to really appreciate this. You've been so informative, and willingness for you all to reach out and help others. is great. So you shared a lot of great information and insight to get those maybe that don't have LinkedIn, help them to get started. So I think this has been a wonderful meeting.
Thank you. And if there are any questions after this, feel free to reach out to Sora, Sherry, or myself, and we'd be happy to help you.
Sarah Brown and Sarah Sherry was fantastic. Thank you all so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Sarah Dale, I don't think there are any more questions.
No, so I will go ahead and I will stop the recording.